to deal with it, and you will have no fear. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, along with nothing else. Nothing else means yourself, your children, your wife, your things, your ego, your reputation, and all that. You can't care about any of that. The children of anger will use it to control you. But if you love God, he will renew your mind, and none of those things will be before him. And so when they go after you, oh, well, you may take my body, you may take my things, but you're not going to take my soul. And that's a true reality. Steve, thank you for calling and thanks for holding. How have you been helped by the show?
I'm going to tell you this. I believe you might go down in history as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, black man that ever lived on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know anybody before you that's been that great. You know, freeing the slaves is one thing, but you've been freeing people of their mind, which matters, it should be anyhow, to you more than anything else, because with the mind not being right, there ain't nothing else going to happen right anyway.
If you can doubt every thought because you're not your thoughts, if you can doubt every thought, knowing that you're not your thoughts, you don't create them, they're not from God, that they're from the deceiver, the great deceiver, Satan. If you can doubt every thought, you can be free, just like that. At an instant. Bring every thought into captivity. It's so amazing. I recommend you get a copy of my book, From Rage to Responsibility. I write about how the spirit of anger was taken away from me 29 years ago. I forgave my mother who tried to turn me away from my father, and I returned to my father, and through him, my father on earth, and through him I was able to return to God. No man or woman can return to God unless you go through the Son. And men are sons of God. They may be weak, pathetic examples of it, but it's the spiritual order of life. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. So get From Rage to Responsibility. I write about that. Go to my website, rebuildingtheman.com, for an autographed copy, or call 800-411-BOND. And donate to my nonprofit, Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny. We are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home. That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you for tuning in on this fine Monday. It's a pleasure to be back with you today, and we have a bit of a show on this fine Men's History Month Monday on this fine August 4th, okay? So appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to get into it here, okay? We're speaking with the Anchor Baby. We got some stuff to get into, a number of things. You know, I'll pull all that up, in fact. A number of things. You know, we got these women that are running for politics, and they have gone mask off, in my opinion. And I want to just talk about that briefly. It's a little bit of politics and all that, but there is a bunch of cultural things. You know, I was learning about sprinkler caps. I was fascinated. I don't know if I'm having an autistic moment or something. I don't know what happened, but we're going to learn about fire hydrants and sprinkler caps, okay? It's a cultural thing, okay? It goes back deep into the history of some cities in America. And it's summer, and, you know, you're supposed to blast these fire hydrants to get cool. Maybe not everybody, okay? Maybe it's a very specific, cultures in America that do that. And I only ever saw that in, like, the cartoons and the movies. So anyways, look, that'll make sense later. Look, we'll get into it. And if you want to call in, you got something on your mind, you could call in. That's 888-775-3773. What else can I say here? You could call in, something on your mind. Want to get it off your chest. Something you want to say. 888-775-3773. Now, I know the Fuentes and Tucker Carlson thing was pretty interesting. I saw just this clip, right? I just saw the clip with Tucker, the clip with Fuentes. I mean, whatever. Look, if you want to call in about it, I don't even know if we'll play anything from it. It was somewhat interesting. I got to say, might as well just say it now since I don't have anything to say about it. You know, I heard Hake say, these people shouldn't be fighting. They should be working together. And I just kind of echoed a little bit. Echoed. Like, yeah, just really think about that for a second. Fuentes, Tucker, Candace, maybe even, whatever. She should go into obscurity. But imagine these people not fighting. Imagine these people. It's like, why are they fighting? Like, why is there so much division at such a critical time? And just imagine how different it could be, because when you notice these people, what they're kind of like throwing at each other and stuff is kind of inconsequential, or at least it would be if someone was the bigger man or something like that. You know, if someone was just like, hey, Nick, why are we fighting? It's time to end all that. Let's talk it out or something, right? Like, it's like, and I don't watch his stuff too much, but I appreciate the guy. I'm talking about Nick now. A smart individual. Definitely don't think he should be bogarted in the way he is. I'll say that. But whatever. If you want to talk about it, you can call me. Maybe we'll get to, I don't even know how to even like tackle that, unless we're on like a Friday chill stream where we could just kind of sit back, watch long form videos, and really kind of take a bite out of some stuff. So we might not even get into that. But welcome to the show. What can I say? 888-775-3773. We'll get to the supporters, all my super chatters, and everybody, all my wonderful viewers. Thanks for tuning in here on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. I think I got that correct now. It should be, I think it's visible on my page. That was I did something funny on Friday, and I think I even got an incredible Rumble rant from somebody. And you know what? I think I'll be able to read it later. But I totally missed it. So thanks to all my supporters. We'll get to you, my lovely viewers on YouTube. Okay, I see you. Thank you. You're clamoring for the crowns, but you're here. You know what you could do? You know, you're like, oh, I want a crown. How about you click the like button? That might get you some experience points, huh? Oh, I'm here for Nick, or I'm here for the crown. Well, crown people, click the like button. Don't be rude. For everybody else, appreciate you tuning in. Don't be rude. Don't show some decorum. Show some home training just a little bit. You know, you come in here, click the like button. You know, say hello. It's like, we see you come in. Besides that, I think that's it. Everything there. And of course, my viewers on punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Okay, let's get into this. We got to deal with this. And you know her. We know her very well, maybe at this point on this show. We know her. Hold on. And she's a hell of a gal. Okay. And she's a firebrand Republican. We love those, right? Firebrand Republican woman. We know her very well. And let me see here. We know her very well. Nancy Mace, hell of a gal, is a Republican somehow. It makes sense. And she is talking about running for governor, okay? She wants to make it happen in South Carolina, okay? South Carolina, watch out. Nancy Mace is on the scene. She's a big gal, and she wants to be governor. She is Trump in heels. Jeez, apparently, is what she brags about. And let me just, pardon me while I grab this link here, because we got to get this thing in the archive. Okay, we got to go to archive.is. You want to get through these websites. You want to go through a day where you're not. You want to have a good day where you don't have to deal with terrible websites and how they put stuff behind stuff and put ads everywhere, causing you to complain, which you should never do, like me right now. Use archive.is, okay? Nancy Mace's big reveal as she brags about upsetting her own party. Now, she says she's the Trump in heels, okay? She's the Trump. She describes herself as the Trump in heels, and that's just already a very terrible thing. Okay, Nancy Mace, that's not hitting like you think it is. I have to say, that's not the kind of image you want. That's not the image you want to start evoking here. And she is also bragging about upsetting her own party. And you start putting that together, right? Like Trump in heels, I'm upsetting my own party. Oh, yeah, the establishment hates me. Oh, I'm basically like Trump. But I gather, and we know her a little bit by now, so I know that it's not this way. But I think if you start paying attention, you can gather she's not really like Trump and just kind of playing it, just playing a part. Okay, you don't just get to be Trump just because you upset people. Oh, I'll just upset people. Of course a woman thought of this, right? Let me just upset people. I'll just upset them. That means I am doing something right. Controversial MAGA congresswoman. MAGA congresswoman Nancy Mace set her sights on being the next governor of South Carolina. And she annoys her own colleagues, like she says, okay? She has drawn the ire, members of her own party and the Democrats. So everybody hates her. So everybody hates her. That's not a good thing. I know that everybody hates Trump, but you notice he works with people and he forces them to work. He makes them work, right? I don't really get that from Nancy Mace. She is loving this idea of getting under the skin of Republicans, she says. Get under their skin. Like, this is why you don't need this in politics. You don't need this in this world. Nancy Mace has no place here. And Nancy Mace, here's the thing. She's a firebrand Republican woman. She really does, alongside with a following story in a moment, reveals, almost like mask off what women are doing, what they really are doing in politics, which is grabbing power. And it's like, okay, I hear the apparition now, but Nick, men are grabbing power all the time in politics. That's what they do. You think they're all honest people? Okay, apparition, you just sit there right moment. You just sit tight right there while we watch Nancy Mace's running for governor clip and a little bit more here. Maybe you'll understand, but we don't try to convince apparitions. That's what crazy people do. Let's watch Nancy Mace. She's running for governor, right? South Carolina. She posted this. I want to just watch this with you guys just a little bit, okay? Let's get a taste of what's going on here. Nancy Mace taking the mic.
Republican has drawn the ire of both Democrats and members of her own party.
Yeah, we're going to start that again. Let's watch that.
The House Republican has drawn the ire of both Democrats and members of her own party.
She has a way of getting under their skin.
Representative Nancy Mace.
Firebrand Republican Congresswoman Nancy.
Firebrand Republican. They had to say it. They said it for me.
Mace.
She's a fighter. I know about that. She's a fighter.
She learned resilience early on. Mace became the first woman to graduate from South Carolina's famed military college.
You've taken a lot of abuse for standing up for the rights of women.
But what they forget is that, Laura, I'm the first woman to graduate from the Citadel. I will not be bullied into silence.
Nancy Mace scores a huge victory in her fight to keep biological men out of women's bathrooms.
Wow. We will be courageous. We will be resilient.
When she sets her sight on something, she's tough.
And we will be prepared to take on the challenges of this historic moment.
Wow, she's standing up. But I'm left a little confused. You know, I wasn't swept up by the emotion of the video, so I'm waiting for the who is she against here? Like, who's the big enemy? Where's the big, the big question mark? Who Nancy Mace is really standing up, right? She mentioned a couple bullies. There seem to be, it's kind of vague. AOC's a bully, but also guys in the Republican Party are bullies. And she's here to defend women, and I will not be bullied. I went to the military, I'm around all these guys, but I won't be bullied. So I'm waiting here. I'm waiting, like, where's the big enemy? Right? You watch this ad, you're thinking, wow, all this like fanfare. She's here because she's standing up for something. It's so clear, right? And you wait, hold up. It looks like a Trump video. It has the music, da-da-da. But I sit back and I think about Trump a little, right? It's kind of a little clear. Call it a narrative. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you don't believe it's true, but it's definitely better put together, right? What he's standing up against, the deep state, etc. However you want to put it. But I'm watching Nancy Mace. I'm like, wait, what's the big boogeyman here? Misogyny? I don't get it, Nancy. I'm a little lost. Who you against? It sounds like a fantasy. It sounds like a made-up fantasy. And I know her a little bit. And by know her, I mean I don't know her at all. I've just read news about her. So let me be clear about that. But I've been seeing her around a bit, and I gather she's a little bit in La La Land. La La Land, Nancy Mace. Living in the patriarchy, as she is like in the government. She's Congresswoman. They call her Congresswoman, and she's there making it happen. But I guess she's bullied in this patriarchal world. I don't know. It sounds like La La Land fantasy stuff. Nancy Mace, it's crazy. So what else did I want to say quickly about Nancy Mace? Look, she's like Trump. You gather it's kind of phony though. Like getting all this, putting in the clips of him saying, "Yeah, no, she's a fighter. She's a fighter." So whatever. It's politics. She's trying to run for things. But it does seem phony, right? It seems like I'm here to just when you have to make up a story like that, that means you're vying for something, right? There's a reason for making up this story, this narrative. Oh, man, women and then she's, if you're familiar with some of the previous reporting, she has this case and she's trying to say that all these men filmed her, and I think she even took it to the point of rape. I don't want to misquote and misrepresent something here. I believe she took it to that level, and I think that's an ongoing thing. She even used her, if you remember, essentially it's an immunity thing where you're allowed to speak openly on this open floor of the House. And she used her position as quote-unquote Congresswoman to speak very, very frankly about this ongoing case and to say what she wanted to say about it and how the way she painted it, right? And so that's the kind of woman you got, Nancy Mace. You got Nancy Mace. So you got her here. The apparition is still yelling, but Nick, men, they vie for power. Why are you just saying women in politics are bad? Look, this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. You remember her a little bit. Marjorie Taylor Greene, GOP women, says GOP women are sick and tired of treatment by male colleagues. She's sick and tired of this stuff. So she's claiming sexism is rampant within the Republican Party. In an exclusive phone interview with the sleazy Daily Mail, the outspoken Georgia representative opened up about her frustrations with her party while hinting that she is planning an exit. That's just according to MSN here. over several issues from policy priority differences to sexist culture. Imagine that. Green, 51, claims a good old boys club ranging from donors to politicians has complete control of the party reins to the ire of many women in the party who feel overlooked and snubbed, which she believes is doing a disservice to party constituents. I mean, that's what they'll say. She's quoted, there's other women in our party that are really sick and tired of the way men treat Republican women. I think there's other women, Republican women, and I'm just giving my opinion here, who are really sick and tired of them. She went off to make this example of this woman here, Elise Stefanik, if you remember her a little bit. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene starts to paint this picture where this Elise woman, this Elise here, pardon with the mic there, she basically claims that she got shafted by the men and that it was a personal thing. So to just recap that really fast, basically this woman, Elise Stefanik, she held, this was back in, this was pretty much January 2025, okay? Stefanik at this point, holds a congressional seat, a Republican congressional seat. This woman right here, hold on. Right, so Trump is, this one right here. Trump is president. He's coming in. She's got that seat. And she then gets nominated to become the ambassador to the United Nations, U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Okay, that would mean giving up that seat. And then in March, Trump basically said, he took back the nomination, and he said, this is what he said. It was a concern over maintaining the Republicans' majority in the House. You know, should you give up that seat? Basically, he thought against it and said, actually, it's a bad idea, essentially. Stefanik and her team, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is here agreeing with her in that interview that we just read, they have basically put out this story, and I can't tell you with validity what's true or not because this is what they're saying. So I can only report what they said and tell you, as a matter of fact, I mean, it's their spin because I see no evidence besides that. But this is what Stefanik's team is basically saying. Mike Johnson and this team, Mike Johnson and his allies, basically worked to get rid of her, essentially, and shafted her, screwed her over. So you try and get the ambassador position. You don't get it. I believe that turns out bad for you in some way. But look, the point is, it's conjecture, right? I mean, I can't tell you with validity what's really happening behind the scenes. I can't tell you that, but these women are saying, hey, we got shafted for personal reasons. Trump is saying, hey, it was political. We need to hold this. We need to hold things how we have them. It's not personal. So it would be a matter of fact to report this like as the news. It would be to say, well, that's their spin. That's the Stefanik's spin, right? Because that's what they said it is. I mean, that's what Trump said it was. It was a political thing, not personal. So the women here turn it personal. She's saying it's sexism. Nancy Mace is like, I'm going to, piss off the Republicans. I'm not going to be bullied. I'm a woman making it happen. And you just gather, you gather this. If you've been watching Marjorie a little bit, I gathered this from Nancy and maybe even these other Republican firebrand women. They're very ambitious. They're very ambitious. Have you noticed that? And this is what I'm getting at. These women, to be the kind of woman that gets to these positions, I think I notice they're often ambitious, very ambitious women. And that sounds maybe funny because if you don't think about these things, you think all men are ambitious. All people in politics are ambitious. If you succeed at anything, you're ambitious. But that's not really a proper usage of that word. Ambition actually, you start really getting into what it means. It describes not necessarily always a positive thing. And usually negative. You meet ambitious people. Right, it's all about the ambition. That's above it all, and that's what I gather from Marjorie. That's what I gather from Nancy. Now take in the little thing with Elise Stefanik too. She came in as this firebrand, right? She's like, you know what? I'm defending Trump over this corruption stuff. Nah, I'm with him. That's how she basically came into the scene, making a big splash, being like super Trump, even when it was hard, so to speak. And then Trump comes out. You know how he is. People are loyal to him. He loyal back. He tries to work with people up to a point, right? And then sometimes it doesn't work, right? And then he'll maybe do something else. And sometimes he hires bad people. But look, that's a different thing. Look, at least take this in. She's like, I love him. I'm defending him. She's like, okay, what do you want me to do, coach? Put me in. He's like, okay, I'm going to put you ambassador. He's like, all right, coach. Actually, we need you somewhere else. And you get mad. And you're like, I got shafted. What I was supposed to deserve. So it's all avarice. It's all ambition. Okay? And look, I know that the politicians, male politicians, it's all the same in a sense. Look, I'm not going to say it's not. But it's a different spirit here. To be the type of woman that gets to these positions, I notice there's a big engine of ambition where that engine is not so visible or as pronounced with maybe all the other men. Maybe they didn't need to be that ambitious to get to that point. It's a spiritual thing. It's a funny thing, but I gather this a lot, and that's why they need to stop. We need to end. This needs to stop, Mr. President. I know you like these ladies. I know you like hiring them. You like putting them in place in politics, in positions of power. And maybe it's politics. Maybe Trump is playing politics. But, sir, the cost, it might be too high. We'll get to calls here in a second. Appreciate your calls, folks. 888-775-3773. About to get to calls here. I want to play this last thing here concerning some of this politics. Trump, Marjorie. He did respond to something. Marjorie, I think I mentioned this the other day. Marjorie is using the G word. I'm not talking about glizza. Wait, hold on. I'm not talking about glizza. She's talking about genocide, and she's calling it the situation in Gaza a genocide, okay? I think this was just a few days ago, so this might be kind of old news, but I found it kind of interesting talking about character, these kind of women in politics, and even a bit of a controversial thing, right? Gaza. Ooh. Here's Trump asked for reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene calling the situation in Gaza a genocide. His whole response is just different,
David or not?
Let's play this.
David or not?
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. The United States gave $60 million for food. And it's a shame because nobody, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you. But I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. And we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation. So just to conclude, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you for being here. This
does not even care about the genocide statement. Does not use the word liberal.
Believe it or not.
Liberal word, possibly. I've been watching a lot of the Hake Report, okay? And I agree. It's a darn liberal word. And, you got Trump here. I love it. I just love how he handled that. I personally really do. Don't you gather that he's a different kind of guy? You can't just, but why didn't he answer? Like, you just can't. You can't make him say what you want. You can't make him say what you want. And I love that about him. You just can't make him speak and say what you want. I just love that. I love that. But what else did he say in this?
It's a shame.
Yeah, and just speaking frankly about it too. When he speaks like this, I gather it really is his opinion. You know how hard it is to see that in politics? Because you gather all the time, people will just say the most common thing. I mean, it's a genocide. It's people are starving. Because of the kind of guy Trump is, I gather when he does say, they're starving, something should be done about it. We got money going there. It's supposed to be for this and that. What's supposed to happen with that? That holds weight. Because I think he's sincere about thinking that about the food and all that, and also about the money and what's going to happen with that. He's not the type of guy to just let that go. So that's cool. I love that. And what else about that? That's pretty much it. A little bit of side by side. Women, men, the spirit that drives us, maybe a little bit. You know, I hear, ladies, it can drive you too. Ain't that amazing? I'm focused on me, so I'm not even focused on y'all. Right? Because that sounds like the spirit of God could be in you too, ladies, just like me, the anchor baby. All right, folks, let's get to some calls here. Appreciate the patience. 888-775-3773. Got more stuff to get to. But I want to get to Aaron out of Maryland. How you doing, sir? You're on the air.
Hello?
How you doing, sir? Aaron, on the air.
What's going on, Nick? Man, have you been, reading the dictionary or something?
What do you mean? When? Today?
I don't know. Recently, have you been studying the dictionary, learning some new words or something? Because every time I watch your show, you drop a new word that I've never heard before. Yeah, and then I have to look it up. Avarice? You just said that?
Yeah. That's an old one, no? That's I've seen that in cartoons and video games, right? Avarice. Isn't that greed, basically?
Look, you might be smarter than me, bro. I'm just joking. I'm just playing off of the biblical question.
That's right.
No, but
who's smarter than you?
No, I never.
Avarice.
I've seen that word.
I think I may have seen. Wait, yeah, go ahead.
I was saying I only saw it I only remembered that word because a buddy of mine had that in high school as his username online.
Uh-huh.
And he was a pretty smart dude. He was I think third in our high school class or something. And I always used to see him play with that, but I was he was Asian, so I just thought something to do with rice. I thought it was avarice or something. I was like, oh, it's probably some Asian stuff.
No. Avarice? What kind of rice is that?
That's some deep, cultural rice I thought they had.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
I never had that kind of rice.
You're right. I'm like, bro.
I think I know avarice from Crash Bandicoot.
Right.
Sincerely.
Oh, my. Yeah. But, yeah. Yeah, I never heard that before. I had to Google it while you were talking about it to make sense of what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm,
and that's amazing. I'm going to start using that.
Right.
I'm going to do it like trivia. I'm going to try to, I don't know if it's
ambition.
Trivia, but I'm going to try to, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't tie such words to ambition if you didn't think about it. Or if you maybe just matured or something. You wouldn't tie such negative words to ambition. You know, you think it's all I just want to succeed. But it's very shallow look at that word.
Right. I mean, to be honest with you, avarice sounds ambition and greed and, they'll say go-getter and then
that's right.
Hustler. Or what I think the young guys talk about Sigma Chad. I'm on my Sigma Chad flow.
Is Sigma kind of like Hustler?
Sigma mode, I forgot what it was called. I don't
Sigma
think it's
mode,
Hustler.
right? I think Sigma mode is just head down, right? Head down, working, right?
Sigma grind. That's
right.
What
You're just grinding. Head down. I can't bring my head up right now.
Yeah.
You want me smiling? I got no time for that. We got to head down Sigma mode right now.
Right. Yeah, it's all related to money, though. It's not really anything more than that. It's bro,
it's a funny thing you bring up because I don't know where that came from. That must have been, put it like this. Growing up, getting into rap music and stuff, I do remember this hustler notion, this hustler spirit or something like that being cool or something like that to me. I know I remember it being compelling in some way. And now sitting here talking to you, really thinking about this, I think that notion and of being tough through hardship, which is really, when you really examine it, it's not like that at all for the criminal element and the thug and they're really not tough and they're really not going through enduring through hardship. It's really not like that. But there was something compelling about that, and I think that has endured. Something about that has endured where being a hustler is actually good. But when you think about it, even the word hustler has a negative connotation, right? You're scamming people.
Well, I mean, all of it is negative because, first of all, in rap, most of it is actually complaining about your hardship. It's not actually about, it's literally complaining about it. You're like, you know what I had to go through?
That only worked on me when I was like 12. What was I listening to? Maybe a little bit later too. Let me be real.
When you were 12?
I said that like that whole like, oh, you know, they're working. Oh man, these gangsters are like so tough enduring hardship. I think that notion only worked on me like when I was like 12. I'm trying to think, maybe a little older, but thinking that was compelling and cool.
Yeah, of course. You're young and you're impressionable, and you don't. And it comes off as scary. That's the whole idea. They try to.
I think I had a G Unit CD. Yeah, I had a G Unit CD.
Listen.
That's just because like my sister had it or something.
G Unit right now.
You said
I'm
what?
not going to slander G Unit on here. G Unit, I don't know. We might have to remove negative connotations on everything. Yeah, that was amazing. Did you play the game?
No, man. You see, this is the funny thing. This was still before me. Like I was like, G Unit and the CDs and like being into 50 Cent and saying G Unit. Like that was something my older cousin and I saw on TV. Like I was kind of LARPing, but I did have a big baggy shirt and I was like into it. I was into it and I thought it was cool.
It was cool. It seemed cool for sure when you're. I mean, obviously, if you don't know any better, it just seems cool because it's just a bunch of people that call themselves an aggressive name and that are taking everything. You're like, oh, that's the way life should work. You're like, yeah, you know what I mean? It's like that's amazing.
That's funny,
take
man.
everything. That's the best way to do it. But what we went really off.
What you call about?
Oh yeah. I called in about. So I like the biblical question, but I wanted to ask like an inverse of that to you. Do you think you're dumber than anybody else, or do you think anybody else is dumber than you?
Yeah, I guess. Because I judge people, right? So I mean, I don't know if I think about that explicitly, but something inside me just says, "Be honest, Nick." Maybe that's silly, but you know, if I judge people, I think that I'm better than them. But here's the thing: with you. I know people call me genius and stuff. I gotta say, I don't have that. Like, I don't have this like chip on my shoulder about that at all. Like, I don't know how to put this, but I really don't go around thinking I'm smart. That's not how I feel.
No,
that's one thing. I'm not saying I'm like high and mighty, like I don't judge people and I'm like free of that. I'm not saying that. But one thing I don't do, I really don't have that on me. It's like I don't go around thinking I'm smart.
But you've mentioned before already. You've already mentioned that you're like, what the thing that compelled you to go after and try things is because you believe that you can do what others can do. So implicitly, that means that you believe others can do what you can do. So you couldn't even think you're a genius. You just, you know what I'm saying? That's everybody can do anything. I think the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let me not put words in your mouth, but it seemed like that's what you said before.
I think so. I don't know if I totally believe that, but yeah, I think I basically think like that. I mean, here's the thing. I basically I've said this before that this is my toxic. What is it? What's the word? It's kind of a worldly thing, but you'll understand me when I say it. This is my what's the word I'm looking for? It's my toxic personality trait or something like that. One of my toxic it's something you may have seen on the internet, but one toxic personality trait I think I have is if I see someone doing like something expert looking, like whether it's technically expert looking or physically difficult looking, I think I could do that. Like I really do. I look at that, I'm like, I could do that.
Yeah, ambitious.
Maybe it's ambition, but I just think I have that in me too. Like if I practice or if I did this or that, I could do what they're doing. I don't think that they have something I don't have.
You're like, I could do that. So what are you over there doing? I can do that. So you think I can't do that?
Kind of, yeah. So I don't know if that's an answer to the is anyone smarter than you kind of thing. Maybe that's one way of thinking no one's smarter than me, but I don't know. But anyway, sir.
That's strange though. On the flip side, that's what I'm saying. It's how come the is anyone smarter than you question? It seems like it's more difficult than the is anyone dumber than you question. I feel like everybody else would be like, is anyone dumber than me? Oh my gosh, of course. But on the flip side, if you say, is anyone smarter than you? You're like, let me smoke on it for a week. You know
why? You think it's hard you think most people wouldn't think anyone's smarter than them?
Yeah, I think it's their ego. 100%.
Really? I feel like most people would answer. Here's what I'm thinking. It's too early to say, but I'm betting, and maybe this is wrong, but my bet into what the general public will respond to that question is, yeah, Jesse, of course. All sorts of people are smarter than me. That's my guess. I don't know.
Nah, that's it. For me, what I think that is You're just hiding the devil in the closet. That's like people trying to be nice up front, but they're trying to play you. So they're like, oh no,
maybe that's what they're doing. It's like downplaying themselves and trying to fake be humble, or maybe not. How about we wait and see? But that's my guess that most people are going to say.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of poisoning the waters by even saying this. I should not even be saying this. But my guess is they'll say all sort. Everybody's smarter than me. I'm the dumbest person in the world.
Are you guys not supposed to answer the biblical question or something?
No, we're allowed to. No, there's no rules against that. I'm just saying I'm poisoning the well by impressionable people listening to me. They'll be influenced and think, I'm not going to say that, or I will say that. But let me not even think about them. What a silly thing to do.
Let them cook.
Yeah. Aaron, man. Last thing you want to say
on
this?
That's it, man. That's all I called in to say. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Call me again, sir. 888-775-3773. What do you say? Get a job. Unit. I remember listening to Same Girl. Now, this is not 50 Cent. This is R. Kelly and Usher. Okay? I remember listening. How old was I? I was young. I was like a kid. I was a little kid. I had never kissed a girl. Okay? I was a child. And I was listening to Same Girl, we've been messing with the same. And I was like, I was like listening to this with headphones on. I was like, damn. Usher, R. Kelly. I know how you feel, man. Same girl. And I don't think I'd ever kissed a girl at that point. So it's a funny thing, music and being a kid. And I don't know, being impressionable. Let's move on. It's funny that music comes up. I did have a little funny kind of a sort of a cultural side story here. I was looking at this random article here on CNN. There's no song of the summer, and they are bummed out about it. No song of the summer. In fact, the top songs right now are all downers. They're all like soft and sad. And this person laments there not being any. Gone are the sweaty days when Not Like Us lit up parties nationwide. You know, I read that. I was like, that's not a thing to be proud of. That's not a thing to be proud of. Not Like Us. That song by Kendrick was actually really nasty. And I realized I really thought about this literally just the other day. You know that song, They Not Like Us, right? It was a big diss to Drake. And if you remember, the nastiest, very, very kind of out there, when you really think about it, society and what they'll be okay with, remember, this is the you gotta love people society. Don't judge, don't be a bigot, blah, blah, blah. The second this song comes out, that just sort of adds to this already kind of narrative that's online saying that Drake is into young women, far too young, and it's very creepy. It's borderline pedo, right? So you got this online narrative. The world is like, you gotta love people, don't judge, blah, blah, blah. The second this song drops and it's sort of just barely adds to this narrative, they're like, yep, Drake's a pedo, we got him, blah, blah, blah. Not like us. You got mothers, women at games, at like stadium shows, just like, yeah, not like us. And we're an amazing society, right? We're such a lovely, amazing, loving society. Yeah, we really want to go your direction with the love people and the female future, and that's really the direction we want to go. These people are rabid animals. The second they just got something here, they're like, yeah, eat them up on mere allegations. And here's the craziest part. I thought this was a kicker. I was just going through the lyrics just the other day of Not Like Us. And in the very song, Kendrick Lamar himself says, let me pull it up. Where is it? He says it just in the song. Hold up. He says, I see the way. Wait, hold on. Let me double check this. Hold on. Apologies, folks. I don't want to say this incorrectly. Hold up. You know what? Let me just. I may have gone. I got something wrong here. Okay, Drake. I hear you like him young. No, wait. Where is it? There was a lyric. Purportedly a lyric, and it might not be. So I do want to just move on. But it seemed like Kendrick was saying they were mere allegations. Okay, is the word allegation in here? Anyways, the point stands. It was allegations, and it's just like built on that. Nasty stuff. I was going through this on the top songs. There's no song for the summer. And it seemed like a bunch of top songs were like Christian, white guy, a Christian. One guy was like a Christian guy, like a Christian ballad. And then it was like a country guy, Morgan Wallen. Right? The top song is Ordinary by some guy. It's a Christian song, apparently. I didn't even know. I've never even heard it. Alex Warren. And then another Billboard Top 100. I was just looking at some of this. I'm like, it's these cultural indicators, right? That kind of speak to what? It speaks to just what narrative, kind of just like the not like us thing. What narrative can we tap into? And consider this for a second. If it's not too, I don't even think it's conspiratorial, but put it like this. These are entertainment companies. This is what they're always looking for, narratives to tap into, whether true or not. Is it pro-white? Is it pro? No, stop playing. That's the Christian song, apparently. Or Alex Warren, Ordinary. Are they going pro-white, guys? Are they like pro-Christian and pro-white, fellas? I don't even think there's any point in debating that now. It's an interesting thing, don't you think? Entertainment is all of a sudden, you got the entertainment world is looking a little different in some places. It's the entertainment world, like whatever. But whatever. I guess I didn't have much to say about that. Let's go to Mark, Los Angeles, California. How you doing, sir? You're on the air.
Hello, Nick.
Hey, Mark. Appreciate your call, man.
Yes, sir. I wanted to say that with Hake earlier, that was on my end. The hang up. My phone died, so I don't want anybody to think.
Okay, gotcha. You were having phone issues on the Hake report?
Yeah. I don't want people to think he hung up on me. He didn't.
Okay. All right, well, no problem.
Okay, and the reason I called, I got a question. I don't think you're going to be able to answer it, but it's more of a question for the audience, if you will. What's the one thing President Reagan did that President Trump would never do? And it's a good thing, but it's something Reagan did that Trump would never do. Now, it's a 40-year-old.
I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, I know. Most people wouldn't remember, but I believe it was 1985 when President Reagan, in his proudest moment, it was my favorite thing he ever did. He went to Bitburg, Germany, and paid homage to the SS officers who were buried there in Bitburg, Germany.
Uh-huh.
I think Trump would never do that. He would not offend his Jewish
The Bitburg controversy. I'm looking at this at Wikipedia. A little bit of history.
Right.
I appreciate this, Mark. Go ahead. You were saying you don't believe Trump would.
I don't know. Trump would never do that. He would never go to Bitburg.
But what happened? First, help me understand what happened at Bitburg and what did Reagan do over there?
Well, Bitburg's a cemetery. There's a cemetery located there in Germany for the SS officers. And Reagan went and paid homage to them, even though they were on the other side, out of respect. President Reagan went there and he shared his feelings, or not his feelings, but he basically
what did he do? He paid homage.
He just went there, like you go to a cemetery and you maybe say a little prayer and pray for their souls and whatever people do.
Yeah.
When they go to visit a cemetery, but it was very controversial. He got a lot
Okay,
of
I'm following now
criticism
more
for it.
on what happened. So he went there. It's this cemetery. When you say pay homage, it's not necessarily to support. It's just go there to commemorate the whole darn thing. I'm seeing here on Wikipedia, in fact, Reagan quoted defending himself over this controversy, saying, "These SS troops were the villains, as we know, that conducted the persecutions and all. But there are 2,000 graves there, and most of those, the average age is about 18. I think that there's nothing wrong with visiting that cemetery where those young men are victims of Nazism. Also, even though they were fighting in German uniform, drafted into service to carry out the hateful wishes of the Nazis, they were victims just as surely as the victims in the concentration camps." After you tell me a little bit about this, I wasn't even familiar with any of this. It's hard to say what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened, but I gotta say, I think Trump would totally do something like that. I would not hold it against him. Like, think about it. You're saying that Trump would go to somewhere controversial and commemorate a place like that? Like, I think that's totally up Trump's alley. And not only that, with Reagan saying they're the villains. These were the villains, guys. Their concentration is terrible. That's not that controversial to do. It really does seem like Trump might do something like that. But what do you think?
Well, first of all, Reagan wasn't as pro-Jewish as Trump. And most of the criticism Reagan got for going to Bitburg, regardless of what he said, was from the Jewish community. They were the ones that were upset that our president would go there and pay homage to these soldiers, SS people. And I thought Reagan was brave. I thought what he did was good, regardless of what he had to say. He had
What
to
did
say
what
something.
What did he do that for, though? In your mind, what do you think he was doing? You're saying he was brave. Like, what did it mean? Are you saying he did something beyond simply commemorate these graves and say, these were victims of the evil Nazis?
He had to say that, but I believe that he went there as the first American president ever, Reagan, to go to the German cemetery and show his condolences. Even he said what he said. I don't think Trump would do that today. Not to say he's not a brave man,
right?
But it wouldn't be in Trump's best interest to do what Reagan did, because Trump is already, everybody's calling him a Nazi and a fascist already, even though it's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to go and do that, it would just give the enemies of civilization, really. It would give the enemies of civilization an excuse to call Trump a Nazi again.
No, you might be right. I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm not trying to debate that at all, because I was just giving my opinion. After you give me some of these details, I'd say, what, in my opinion, Trump still would be that kind of guy to do something like that. But you might be right. I'm not debating that at all, because, it's not something I feel the need to fight you on that, because you might be right.
I can't see the show, but do you have that up on the screen about the Bitburg controversy?
I did have it briefly for a moment. I'll put it back up. It was a Wikipedia article on it.
My only question was what year did that happen? In 1985?
This says in May of 1985. That's when he went to this.
That's what
which
I thought.
I think is awesome, by the way. The more I think about it, that's a really cool thing that Reagan did.
I thought it was too. Going to Bitburg. They did a song about it. They wrote a song by I don't know if you like the Ramones, but
yeah,
they wrote a song about him going to, but they condemned him in the song.
Right, liberals.
So
of course they would.
Yeah,
the
they're
Ramones.
Liberals. I think they may have been Italian or Jewish.
But why do you think he did it? You think he did it? What, tell me, besides him going there, besides it being controversial because for whatever reason, what else do you think he was doing there? I gather, and I don't want to put this on you, I gather you're thinking something beyond was happening here, that there was a deeper reasoning than and I think there was a deeper, I really don't know personally, but I don't tend to disbelieve you saying that he had to say what you're saying, right? But I really gather that the type of man to do something like this, you have to be the kind of person who, how do you say, kind of like Trump, that you really see history for what it is, and you don't deny it. You're not scared of it. And so what am I saying with that? That's what Reagan going and doing this, I gather, does have a deeper meaning than what he said. But I gather you're taking it even further. what are you taking it? If you are taking it
I
anywhere?
don't know. I want to believe that Reagan knew that even though they were the enemy in World War II, they were still our white brothers, and they still deserve some measure of respect.
Absolutely.
They fought for their country and they died, but they fought for the preservation of the white race. I don't know if Reagan was thinking about that when he visited there, but what people should think about is that he did it in 1985, and he was still in his first term as president. Reagan, he got in that. Well, wait a minute. No, I take that back. No, he was in his second term, so Reagan didn't have to run for re-election at that point. 80 to 84, then 84 to 88. So yeah, Reagan would have been in his second term. But I just want to say that for Reagan to do that, that showed integrity. It made me really, really respect the man for having the guts to do it, regardless of what he said. He wasn't hung up with the guilt complex, and I really appreciated Reagan for that. I don't think Trump would do it. Not to say Trump's a coward. I don't think that at all. But I think he would feel that it would be unnecessary because of all the controversy it would stir up. Now, it did stir up a lot of controversy back in 1985 with Reagan. I remember a lot of conservatives were upset with Reagan for doing that. But that's
he did say they were. Oh no, wait. That's kind of a stretch. Go on. You were saying?
No, I was just going to say, most people at the time in '85, there was a lot of white guilt, and I'm not saying there isn't now, but there was just as much white guilt then as there is today, and Reagan took a chance, but he did something that I appreciated. And there used to be this guy on TV. I don't know if you want me to say his name. He's dead. But he was a top Southern California conservative.
That's fine.
Is it okay to give his name?
That's fine. Go ahead. You said he was a California conservative and on TV.
Yeah. He used to have a Saturday night show, the Wally George Show.
Go ahead.
And even he condemned Reagan. And I thought he was like Reagan, one of his biggest supporters in Southern California. And he condemned Reagan for doing it. So when these, what I call kosher conservatives condemn Reagan for doing it, I know Reagan did the right thing. And I appreciate what he did.
When a lot of people bringing it up now, I think it's an awesome thing from what I'm hearing here.
You have
to be a particular kind of person to do something like that. If it is for the reason that you're saying, you have to not care what people think. You have to, be kind of know that you know something for yourself, and I respect that a lot.
Yeah, I thought Reagan was right on when he did that. I think Trump's done some brave things too. I mean, in that regard, he's against taking down I'm talking about Trump. He's against taking down the Confederate flag.
Right. So I was trying to think of similar things that maybe it's not about Germany, but I was trying to think of similar things, and the Confederacy kind of comes up. He's been right. He's called Robert E. Lee a great general, and other things, So I gather that he has this mentality too, that he kind of gets it.
Yeah,
right?
But when it comes to the blacks, there's a little tiny bit more leeway in criticizing some of their nonsense. But with the Jews, and especially World War II, 99% of American politicians are afraid to touch that issue, unless it's with the white guilt complex, with what Reagan said that some speechwriter probably wrote for him. So again, I think
you don't believe
Trump is good.
That they were victims? You don't believe that Reagan meant that they were victims?
What he said there about the Germans being the villains?
Oh yeah, I guess that part. Okay, I'm following.
I mean, he may have meant it. It's hard to say. But I know Reagan was not a favorite amongst the same people that are trying to take Trump down now.
Interesting.
The same people that hated Reagan hate Trump. And it's for the same reasons, the fake Nazi stuff. And I think Reagan may have been thinking, look, screw you people. I'm going to go there. I'm going to show my respect. And if you don't like it, tough. And that's the attitude Trump has in most cases. with most issues. But again, I would be shocked if Trump were to make that trip to Bitburg. I don't think he would, but I'll respect
Would
Reagan.
he need to now? Why would he need to go to Bitburg now? I guess Reagan went.
Well, Reagan went 40 years ago. I mean, another 40 years have passed. But, I think the cemetery opened up in 1945. I could be wrong about that. But it was 1985 when Reagan went there. So that was 40 years later. Now it's 40 years later again. And I'm not advising Trump to do it. But if he did it, I would think his motivation was to stick it to the enemies on the left, the ones that hate him. And unfortunately, because he's been so pro-Israel and, basically pro-Jewish, it's very, very, very unlikely that he would ever, go to Bitburg. But I'll go as far to say as I think that was Reagan's finest moment when he was at Bitburg. That was his finest moment. And a lot of people your age and younger don't even know about Bitburg. Was today the first time you had heard about it?
It is, in fact.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they covered it up. I don't know why. I mean, it was a way to attack Reagan. Again, it was in his second term, and he had nothing to lose. But I just thought that was something that your audience should know happened, and that Reagan had some good qualities. He wasn't all good. All in all, overall, I would say Trump has been a better president than Reagan because he's deported millions of invaders, where Reagan
gave him amnesty. I know that one.
Pardon?
I know that one.
What?
The amnesty.
What? Amnesty, right. Reagan gave 3 million of them amnesty, and that's unacceptable. You could actually say by Reagan giving them amnesty in 1986, that opened the door for millions more to come in, because they probably thought, look, this conservative president just gave 3 million of my fellow invaders amnesty. Why shouldn't I do it? And since 86, how many more millions have come in? So in a sense,
yeah, it wouldn't have a chilling effect. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, in a sense, Reagan could be sort of held responsible for the mass migration that happened after 1986. I know that the defenders of Reagan will say he was tricked, that the Democrats promised border security after the amnesty, which they never got. And I would say to that, Reagan should have known better. He should have known better than to trust the Democrats. And Trump, on his, in his defense, he's aware of that. You have some traitorous Republicans like Maria Salazar down in Florida who are trying to push amnesty. And Trump won't have any of that. He's not going to let the rhinos and the Democrats pull another fast one. Say, just give us amnesty for a few more million, and then we'll go with border security, which they won't do. And I know Trump is aware of that. He knows you can't trust him, and that's a good thing. And I like Trump. I like Reagan. And again, if I had to pick the best of the two, it would be Trump. But for any single thing that either man has done, I would say Reagan's trip to Bitburg beats anything any president before or after him has ever done. I don't think any U.S. president will ever go to Bitburg again. Do you think Obama would go to Bitburg? Do you think Biden would go to Bitburg?
No.
No, of course not. And actually, no other Republican would either.
If they did, they'd have to sound like they would turn into like whatever little individuality or little tiny manhood Biden may have sort of had. It would be gone. He would have to grovel and say, I don't know what, all sorts of things. I bet, but
they wouldn't even go. They would avoid the whole thing. They wouldn't want to get involved in something like that. But Reagan had guts on that issue. He had guts, and I appreciate him doing that.
Well, right on, Mark.
I don't think we'll ever see that in another U.S. president.
Well, thanks for the Men's History moment there. That's pretty nice, Mark. Appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Happy Men's History Month.
Big
Thank
time.
you.
Back at you.
All righty. Have a good one.
Call me again. Take care.
Will do. Bye-bye.
888-775-3773. That's pretty nice. A little Men's History moment there for you. Pretty cool. Let's keep it rocking here. William, how you doing, William, California, on the air?
what's up, Nick? How you doing?
All is well, man. Appreciate your call.
Yeah. Mark's always got that good stuff. He's always got that good stuff.
That was some good info. I appreciate that.
Reagan was one of my favorite presidents outside of Lincoln for many, many, many years, even though he dropped the ball on the amnesty thing. The 80s were booming, the economy. It was booming. And maybe it had something to do with, now let's see, he said he did that in 85, and maybe let's check this out. Let's see why he did this. When was the Berlin Wall knocked down?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's check and see when they
1989.
Okay, so Reagan this was probably a good move to because what do you call it? Bringing Germany back together was always a big thing on the table at that time to knock down the Berlin Wall, because the Soviets had East Germany and we had West Germany.
Gotcha. I'm familiar with these very basic points of the Berlin Wall stuff.
Right. So maybe there's a possibility for bringing Germany back together. And as you know, with technology and military and economics, Germany is a big player with us. So, as far as the graveyards and everything, I don't know if the Japanese soldiers were honored by a president or not. See, because all Germans were not Nazis. All of those soldiers were not Nazis. Nazis in the SS were a different rank, higher up, closer to Hitler.
I see.
More, yeah. So, I think maybe it was kind of maybe it was political, so he could get that, reunite Germany with its other side.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Because that
was
a big deal.
It was a big deal, and I gather you're telling me it was a big deal because of this Soviet enemy.
Yes,
and that's why it was like a ongoing topic. I'm sure it was like in the news, like the things we do today. And it's like, what are we going to do with the Berlin Wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The 50s and 60s and 70s was the highlight of the Cold War.
Right.
And which was also the highlight of the Vietnam War, which is a proxy war, basically the United States against Russia. So, it was the Soviet Union at that time. And then after 1980, when we left Vietnam, Russia invaded Afghanistan. And then we helped, in other words, they helped Vietnam beat us, and we helped Afghanistan run them out of Afghanistan. And
gotcha.
A lot of this stuff is, with the Cold War. The Cold War, a lot of people don't understand what the Cold War is that, the Cold War is a lot of proxy wars on the side and arms races and stuff like that with nuclear weapons and, that kind of stuff.
Incredible, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was somewhat familiar with the details. You learn about it. Of course, I knew it was the big old Cold War. Yeah. It's cold because they didn't fight, right? It's just like arms race and all that. But you never really hear about the details, what it might have been like for the people. And
that's true.
And you're saying the come up to the incident that Mark brought up. You're gathering. There were precursor political moves that precipitated this, and it's world politics. Essentially.
And, these are cousins and brothers and sisters that are separated by a wall since World War II. Yeah. And as you know, most of the people in the East used to try to sneak over and run across that line to get over that wall. And it was many people killed by the Soviets trying to reach the West Germany.
It was, you were locked in there. Like, you couldn't just leave.
You were locked in. It was communist Russia.
Communist Russia in Germany, the half of Germany being theirs.
Right. Well,
amazing.
The Soviets, because we split it. We split it after World War II because we invaded them from one side. The United States came, and from the other side, the Russians came. And, that's when I was talking about General Patton today.
Right.
He was
I heard that.
very resentful towards the president for not allowing him to turn around and after they won World War II together, he was in the president's ears saying, "Why don't you just let us keep going, and we can just go ahead and jump on them right now while they're hungry and weak."
Keep going through Germany into Russia.
Well, just defeat them. Just completely defeat Russia and push them all the way back. Let's not share this. He didn't want to share it. He said, let's just keep going.
Keep going. Yeah, that would entail. I got you. I didn't know all this, but that would entail the continuing of war. That would entail pivoting and having a new enemy, Russia. It would have been a completely different history.
And also, that would have been a new war.
A new war
because this is at the end of World War II. The United States and Russia completed their mission and free Germany. Okay, so that was the end. And then and then after that, I think Japan, the two bombs we dropped, and then that was the end. And Patton wanted to keep going and said, let's just get these filthy bastards now. Excuse me, kids. That's what he said. He said, let's get them now while they're weak. And he was told to stand down and no, we don't want to do that. I mean, we had just been in a world war.
That's right.
Since 41 to 45, it's drafting 18,000 to 20,000, 17, 18, 19-year-olds a month.
I heard General Patton was very wary of the Russian.
Very. Did not trust them. He said, let me get them now. And they stopped him.
And the strong Germany historically always kept the Prussian and the Russian at bay. It kept a peace. But a weak Germany, what do we got now? You know what I mean? Germany is like Russia goes into, right, is the shield of Europe in a sense from the Prussian advancement. So
just like I said, all the Germans were not Nazis. A lot of people think that's the fact, but it's not, Like Steve said, I married a Nazi. What? She's 120 years old now. You mean to tell me you married a woman that was like your senior when you was 18-year-old when you went to the Army? Really? Or the Air Force or wherever you went? The math don't add up with that. And plus, also, if you go to Germany, that is something you do not talk about. You will be locked up.
Incredible.
They are very, very serious about that. Yes, you see the United States. We embrace Robert E. Lee because he was a great general. And we embrace the beautiful South in the Confederate flag because it was beautiful and very powerful. It's part of American history, no matter if they lost or not. So the United States actually, tips their hat to the fallen on every theater. So I don't know if they did that with Japan. I think they probably did because if you really look at it, Japan and Germany became huge industrial suppliers. Mercedes, Audi, BMW, Macintosh stereos. Of course, you're into music, Macintosh equipment. Japan, Panasonic, Panasonic, Sony. Marantz. Right. I think Marantz was built here. Okay, but they had a lot. Remember, they had the stereo wars in.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, some of your best stereo equipment when they were spinning wax back in the day were between 71 and 83. Some of the best stuff you can get your hands on. As a matter of fact, if you look into getting a receiver that came out, let's just say a Marantz 3500. You want to buy one of those right now, you're going to pay like $2,000 for that receiver. But they were really good machines back in the day. That's when they separated the turntable from the receiver, and the stereo shops had all these different brands of stereos, and it was a stereo war. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful time.
The receiver wars, as some are calling it.
Yeah. Listen, have you ever really sat down and listened to wax versus a CD?
No.
Yeah, check that out, man.
I might have to. Wax.
It's the wax is a much fatter sound, and CD is digital. Okay, we know that it's digital. It's different, a little bit different. It's more convenient.
Oh, you mean vinyl? But that's not vinyl, right? When you say wax, that's not vinyl.
Vinyl would be stereo, and that kind of stuff.
I just never heard of that. That's cool.
Dolby, all of that stuff, But when you listen to records versus a CD, there's a fatter sound with the records, and also with the equipment that we used back then too.
This is interesting. I'm gonna have to look into the receiver wars, William.
Yeah, see if you can. Why don't you shop online and pull up a one of the top-notch Panasonic? Well, not Panasonic. Panasonic was kind of cheap. That was Radio Shack.
Marantz. Yeah, I'm seeing Kenwood, Pioneer.
Kenwood. Yeah. Pioneer, Kenwood,
Hitachi.
Marantz were like. Yep, and Macintosh, of course. I don't know if Macintosh is around. I know Macintosh was a very expensive stereo that you wouldn't be able to buy. Your parents would have to buy it for you because it would be very expensive back then. And I think they had a lot of recording studio equipment too. TIAC reel-to-reels, remember them?
Nope.
TIAC reel-to-reel, Sony reel-to-reel. You know the reel-to-reels with the big tapes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multi-track reel-to-reel. Fascinating, man.
Right. I think those were 16 tracks. I think, though.
Yeah. How you started recording music, multi-track recording, multi-track
was
tape
it 16
recording,
or 32? I don't know.
The absolute beginning of it.
Yeah, right. Splicing. Remember remember that term when they recorded? The engineers would splice.
Right. You're taking literal film that you're like tape. You're taking literal tape that you got to cut.
Yeah.
And tape up to splice things together. Fascinating.
Yeah, the producers the producers were really talented back then.
That's
of course
right.
they're technically talented. They're very technically talented now, but back then, if you look back on the work that they had to do to put together the projects back then, it was phenomenal. But maybe this thing had something to do with the wall and reuniting Germany with itself.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, you think about it before that, the Soviets and us we were in proxy wars all over the country.
It may have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate some of the history on this, man, and appreciate the Men's History moment here. Very nice.
Oh, yeah. Happy Men's History Month to you.
William, thank you for that. Call me again.
All right.
888-775-3773. Well, Men's History. Why is this somewhat interesting to me? Receiver wars. Look, I'm reading this thing here. They're saying the receiver wars occurred during the golden era of audio, 1971 to 1981, when the major hi-fi manufacturers developed audio products that really were aimed at producing the finest musical reproduction as possible, and multi-billion-dollar corporations invested massive amounts into R&D to achieve this end. I was trying to say it too, remember? We peaked. Audio peaked. This may be around the time this happened. I was telling you guys, I was positing a theory, concerning music pro audio equipment manufacturers and even instrument and amplifier manufacturers of today, how the uniqueness of tone of the different various range of products they offer, when you look under the hood, the scary thing might be it's just simple EQ. It's simple, different EQs. That's the only thing making them sound different. Why? We were trying to make sense of this. Remember, this was some time ago. Kind of a video that kind of popped off on my channel. And I'm saying, look, audio reproduction kind of peaked. Now, basically, the best processors, your average your average processing unit can pretty much 90% of the way amazing audio things. We're talking about your phone is strong enough to do a lot of things like that. This may be you may not be understanding some of this, but we're going to look into it, okay? The so-called receiver wars. Maybe this is when audio peaked, as I surmised, or what's the word? Predicted. It's really all prediction. I really don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Let's move on. Receiver wars. Cool stuff there. 888-775-3773. I want to get to something else here, though. Talking about tech and all that, right? Talking about all this fancy tech and all this stuff. I had a little thing on AI for you. Okay. It's also a little bit of a side note on being a master of the universe. I don't know how to put this. Some people just, I don't know how to put this. Some guys get all the luck. Some guys get all the pain. I wasn't planning to jump into a Rod Stewart song there, but it fits. Some guys, sometimes I'll talk about a topic and all of a sudden the universe starts feeding me all sorts of stories like that. Sometimes you're Jesse Lee Peterson and you all of a sudden you're going around singing Rod Stewart songs, and he may have been singing this song before. I just can't remember. It seems like Jesse has been singing that song. Some guys have all the luck, right? Rod Stewart? The guy's on tour, apparently. The guy started touring now. Jesse's singing Rod Stewart, right? When's the last time he was on tour? How old is this guy? He's a legend, right? He's like a British legend. Rod Stewart. When was the last time Rod Stewart was touring? Because August hits and now Rod Stewart's on tour. Okay, the guy's a professional. Okay, he goes around. He played a summer show in 2024, apparently. The last time Rod Stewart was touring at a large-scale level was summer of 2024. Okay. How about before that? We're asking the AI, which is thematic because this has to do with AI. So before the 2024 tour, Rod Stewart was touring in 2023 with Cyndi Lauper. So the guy is a profesh, okay? He was touring in 2019. Rod Stewart is a professional musician, folks. What can I tell you? He is 80 years old, born in 1945. He's a professional. He's a professional, folks. I don't know what to tell you. Okay? What do professionals do? They tour. It's kind of amazing. So anyways, 1945, 80 years old. Some guys, okay, I'm bringing him up. All right, he's touring, and they got AI doing funny things at his concerts. Some people are very appalled by this. Some people are really not happy with this. Rod Stewart's tour features an AI video of Ozzy Osbourne taking selfies with XXXTentacion, Kurt Cobain, Tupac, and many other artists in heaven. This person who posted this says, "We truly are in the end times." Okay, I think, calm down. This is end times material. This is AI. Okay, so you get it. Ozzy Osbourne, you know him. He died. Rest in peace. Ozzy Osbourne is in this AI video, right? They're in the clouds. Okay, has Ozzy Osbourne ever even uttered XXXTentacion? Is that something Ozzy Osbourne was this individual even in Ozzy Osbourne's radar? And I don't want to say no, because he very well might have been. I just don't know. But I have to think. I have to maybe, if I had to guess, I'd say no. But he's a musician. Ozzy Osbourne was a musician when he was alive, and he was touring, right? So he maybe is aware of even young artists, especially ones that hit the news, maybe even global news, when they died, right? XXXTentacion died. So whatever, maybe he knew him, but I just find it a little funny, right? Oh my God, XX, what are you doing here, bro? It feels like maybe it would be more like, hey, who are you? I'm Ozzy Osbourne, right? Did Ozzy Osbourne ever say XXXTentacion's name? We'll ask the AI, but we're not just going to assume it's telling us the truth here. It's kind of a specific question here. But I just wonder, did he ever even utter that name? There's no credible evidence that Ozzy Osbourne has ever mentioned or said anything about XXXTentacion. But this is the video. Some of you are saying morbid. Yeah, you can say that. This is very strange. There's Prince. Okay, so Rod Stewart, right? So there's Ozzy Osbourne with a selfie stick. I should be careful with maybe some of this music. All right, who's this? Is this where the anchor baby is revealing his lack of Americana knowledge here? What's going on here? Who's that? Anybody know who that is? Is that person dead? Let me look it up. Hold on. Ozzy Osbourne, AI, XXX Tentacion. That's creepy. Internet reacts to Rod Stewart's tour featuring AI video of Ozzy Osbourne taking selfies with XXX Tentacion, Kurt Cobain. Who else? Bob Marley, Freddie Mercury, George Michael. Oh, that's George Michael, huh? No, that's not George Michael. Who's this one? Tina Turner? That's not Tina Turner. So, I mean, those are all dead people, right? George Michael. So who's this one? Freddie Mercury. That's not Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury's Queen, right? Mustache. Yeah, that's right. Michael Jackson. That's not Michael Jackson. So then who the heck is this one? All right, let's check the chat. Does the chat know? Janis. Oh, Janis Joplin or something? Is that the name? Janis Joplin. All right, folks, you might be right about this. That might be Janis Joplin. I just wanted to know who that was, so that we get it right, for men's history, right? I mean, whatever. We got Prince. We know that one. Prince. Okay, Ozzy Osbourne's very happy. That's Tina, right? That's Tina Turner right there. We got Tina. Tina with the selfie stick. That's Bob Marley. And they're in heaven. Tupac. Who's that? Which one's that one? Why do I want to know? But I want to know. Who's that one? Amy. That's not Amy Winehouse. That's a darker lady with beautiful black skin. All right, let me check the chat. You guys know who this one is? All this time, I thought Janis Joplin was black. That's in my chat, I'm not going to dox. Aaliyah. A to the L-I-Y-A-H. Give it up 2 times. That one? That Aaliyah? Michael Jackson. Hey. Freddie Mercury. I mean, it is pretty morbid, right? That's George Michael. Kurt Cobain. And there has to be heaven, right? Because it's the clouds. So this is clearly is heaven, right? That's Amy Winehouse, right? Forever Young. Oh, that's Rod Stewart, huh? Or maybe it's a cover, but that's just a weird use of AI, maybe. It seems like the way to use AI, because imagine the only reason that, put it like this, the only reason that hasn't already been done is because it's difficult. If we had given artists stable diffusion, right? Before AI was created, before AI was like built the way it is now, where you could just easily prompt it, and artists were just familiar with stable diffusion, right? Some of the digital tools that allow you to morph people's faces and make them move when it's a still image. I think we would have had that like a long time ago, right? It's just the bottleneck here was artist skill, not soulless AI. Oh, only the soulless AI would have done this. Only the soulless, heartless AI and people supporting soulless, heartless AI art would have tried to bring back people from the dead. Remember they made Tupac a hologram years before any AI stuff came out. Remember the Tupac hologram? Oh, they're trying to bring back Tupac from the dead. So, yeah, this has kind of been around, like, whatever. I don't think AI did this, okay? We did this. We've been constantly trying to bring back people from the dead, okay? We're kind of sick like that, okay? Only one man came back from the dead, and he showed us how to do that possibly inside. Or is it 2 men, right? Lazarus and Jesus. But I heard the Lazarus resurrection is the details are different. Someone else might be able to tell me there. But I hear the Lazarus resurrection. It is different in an important way, maybe. I know nothing of necromancy, so I'm not versed. So let me see. We got AI. That's where I was. It was just another kind of funny story on AI. And it's the rise of AI obituaries. And it really, if you know people at all, it's like, this makes total sense. Come on. But basically, writing an obituary out for someone that died, a loved one and all that is, maybe you're drawing a blank. Maybe your obituary is just not hitting how you need it to. Why not just use AI? Okay. Let's stop messing around. Let's just ask AI everything, right? Just prompt it away. AI obituaries on the rise. Crafting an obituary for a loved one can be deeply emotional, therapeutic, and exhausting. But lately, more families are opting to let AI tools handle the writing. Some funeral homes now offer custom software that generates obituaries. Just plug in biographical details and personality traits, and the AI crafts a tribute. Some loved ones don't even realize a bot wrote the farewell, thanks to poetic and occasionally fictional flourishes. Despite some technical hiccups and hallucinations, many say the AI-written obits offer relief at a time of emotional chaos. As one man told the Washington Post, "I was mentally not in a place where I could give my mom what she deserved, and this did it for me." I don't know. We're just a sick people. I guess I shouldn't laugh, but I can't help but smile uncomfortably, or I don't know, to not cry, to look at us be crazy in the world. And I say us, I guess, to relate a little. But I find this somewhat funny. That people, it's like, you just punch this in. I find it funny that increasingly, as tech invents these things, I'll be more specific in a moment, it reveals more and more about human nature and how, let me start with, for example, I have to go to OnlyFans. Okay, that's the one coming to mind. You think, wow, a subscription model where you have to pay for pornography and you have to pay for this woman to get nude in a world where pornography is free. Wow. Imagine this conversation taking place before OnlyFans is created. Yeah, that business model's never going to work. Fast forward, OnlyFans is killing it. Why? Because the people using it are getting a personal connection, what they think is a personal connection. They're fine with paying for the fantasy of DMing and messaging this OnlyFans creator, and this OnlyFans creator getting naked just for you and the 1,000 other subscribers. But you don't know that because you have this single chat room with her, and it just looks and feels like it's personal. And more and more I notice that's all people want. That's all people are fine with. Even if you tell them to their face that this is not real, it simply looks and feels real, they will gladly take it. And it's just, it hits even further, right? When you get to like the death of a loved one and you're like, oh my gosh, I cared about this person. And then a robot comes up to your face and it's like, input details of your loved one. And click right here to output love words, click right here to output let us generate your, loving words from the heart of your loved one. Click right here. It's just something funny about that. And, increasingly, you just get it more and more. People really are sick. We really are just silly people. We really are fine with it looking and feeling correct. And even if it's, even that can be very, very low standards. So, I can't help but find it kind of silly and kind of funny about this AI stuff. It's just gotta somewhat look right and feel right. Okay. We're really so silly. Don't you think we're really so dumb? And easily fooled. And we really have no love, right? Because imagine that clicking on this AI satisfies your need for this deep words for your loved one that you really loved. And this little machine satisfies all that. And that's what we call love, folks. This little tickle that we could, this little itch or this little tickle that we could just, tickle away at, this little itch. That's what we call love. A mere hunger we could satiate. A mere receptacle that you could fill up and be happy just for a little while. Just like everything else in your life. But what? Love is God? Anyways, look, it was a funny thing to me. Let's move on here. 888-775-3773. I got another one for you. It's kind of random. Okay? Shallow's the word. Thank you, Francisco. Appreciate you being here. Looking at the chat just reminded me of something here. And I've remembered, and I'm going to leave it till later. So let me go back to what I was doing. We'll leave that for later. Look, folks, I got something else for you here. It's kind of random. It's got to do with fire hydrants. I came across this video. Okay? It was just a little video about a hot summer we're in. By the way, hot summer? I'm living in California. It's hard to say when the heck summer started. You people live out here in frozen time. We're in stasis out here, and maybe I don't live around schools or anything because I don't even see the Bambinos go out. It's, you usually see them. They leave, they're out. You're like, oh, the kid, oh, that's right, it's summer vacation. There's no snow anymore. The seasons pass as I'm used to. It's like, okay, summer's here. It's hot. Yeah, I don't get that out here, so I forget. I'm not paying attention. Actually, it's August. We've been in summer. And I'm like, when? I don't even remember when the last summer I had. I've been in stasis. I've been frozen in time, in seasonal time in California since 2019, I think. So I don't know when's the last summer. I don't know what season it is, folks. But it's summer. It's a hot summer. It's a hot summer in New York. And I came across this little educational video.
It's going to be.
Okay? Check it out. You're in New York and you're experiencing a heat wave. The fire department of New York has a couple of tools for you.
Be really hot in New York City over the next few days, and we want to help you cool off. Request a sprinkler cap from your nearest firehouse. You must be 18 years old and have an ID with you. It's going to be.
Anybody familiar with sprinkler caps? Okay. Anybody ever request a sprinkler cap from your local fire department or whoever runs the water? I don't know why I found this so interesting. I had to look into fire hydrants, sprinkler caps, the legality of such things, because when I take in a crowd of people, right, unscrewing a fire hydrant and all this water coming up, I gather that's not a legal activity. I don't think that's something you see everywhere, right? That's something you see in certain neighborhoods. It's something I gathered. It's the impression I get from cartoons and stuff, maybe shows. I can't say I've ever seen that in my life. Now, I did one time, driving near Skid Row, see an individual walking towards a fire hydrant with a big old wrench. I don't know what happened. But I've never seen that. I don't know, maybe some of you are more familiar with that, but this whole open up the fire hydrant so the neighborhood can cool down kind of thing. Maybe it's a New York thing. It seems like it's a New York thing because they came up with sprinkler caps. And I'm thinking about them, wait, what actually happens when you open these things up? These fire hydrants, and they're out there. How illegal is it and why? And, these things let out a lot of water, okay? They let out lots of water. These sprinkler caps cap the water flow to 25 gallons, okay? As opposed to thousands of gallons per minute otherwise. That is so significant. We're talking thousands of gallons per minute. And apparently, it became such a problem at some point during the summer that New York came up with this thing. It's like, call it giving up, but it's strategic, you know? All these communities would get hot in the summer and no amount of telling them, hey, we can't fight fires. You guys are wasting thousands and thousands of gallons. Yeah, we don't have pressure to fight the fire down this way because you guys are doing this. It doesn't matter. Telling them, begging them, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The cost, the public cost doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So they came up with sprinkler caps. That's kind of fun, right? It's kind of fun. Your city loves you, New York. NYPD ain't so bad or something like that. Sprinkler caps hydrant. Hold on. And they came up with this whole thing. They got sprinkler caps on them. It's a hot summer. This is what a wide open hydrant looks like in South Bronx. I mean, that looks like it would cool you down a lot. Hey, man.
I can't swim. No shit like that.
That's what he said. He said he can't swim. Okay, that looks like it would cool you down. Okay, so I don't blame him. It looks like it would cool you down. But the city wants them to do it safely and legally, using sprinkler caps.
Yeah.
I just didn't know there would be so much to learn about America from a simple sprinkler cap, okay? And the history of opening fire hydrants and how deep it was in the Black and Latino communities of New York City's summer life, at least according to some articles here. And then they just gave up, you know, they're like, let's figure out a different way because they're not stopping they will not stop opening up the fire hydrants. I don't know what it is. Purchasing an AC or anything else. No, they need those fire hydrants, so let's give them the sprinkler caps. What else about this was interesting? It's very illegal to open these up, okay? And to get one of these, you do have to request it. And if a fire hydrant already has one on them, you're welcome. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. Please look that up if you're in New York. They're pretty much good to go if they already have a sprinkler cap on. They don't have those out here in LA. No sprinkler cap program in Los Angeles, as far as I know. But yeah, I just didn't know there was so much to learn about our great country through fire hydrants and sprinkler caps. Some of you are laughing at this. Go lay in a cold bathtub or stay inside and let the firefighters focus on their jobs. Yeah, we had water parks. I remember seeing some water parks in Canada. And you know those little, where they had little jets that come out of the ground? Not even like big water parks with the big slides. I'm talking about the little ones at like a nearby local community park. And you press a little button and kind of some jets come out of the ground. You seen that? I remember we had those. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Wait, hold on. Let me not move on too fast. What else did I have about this? Sprinkler. I swear there was one more thing. Let's move on here. Okay. You don't need to know about water mains, okay? Maybe we could leave that for another day. Water mains. Yeah, how do you get your water, folks? Let's leave that for another day. Here's another funny one. Here's another kind of random, kind of funny one. We've brought up fighting animals before, okay? And look, maybe the anchor baby overestimated himself at times concerning the wolf. Maybe the chat and the public really underestimates themselves. Remember, gorilla, man versus gorilla, 100 man versus gorilla. So we brought up fighting animals before. It's a funny thing. And you know, you guys gotta understand. I'm honestly shocked that the men in the chat don't believe they can fight a pit bull. You know, it's like a wolf. Okay, fine. Oh, anchor baby's crazy. You know, my little move where I'm supposedly going to put my arm in there. Look, if you've ever fought a normal sized dog, it's a funny thing. If you've ever shoved your arm in their mouth, it's like they can't even like generate the force to bite you hard. But that's maybe a specific scenario. That's a silly thing. You're not going to jam your arm in a wolf's mouth because you heard the anchor baby. No, you're going to try and stay up and try and fight this thing for your life, but you're going to try and avoid it because it's a wolf, right? Okay, fine. Some of you people are reasonable. Maybe the wolf is too far. I thought the 100 men versus gorilla was obvious, okay? Even if some men die, that gorilla is going down, okay? It's going to go down eventually. I'm sorry. And then the pit bull, like just dogs. You guys don't think you can fight a dog? Yeah, it's dangerous. It might bite you. It might hurt. You might bleed. But we're talking about life or death. And even a big pit bull, it's like... And here's what I noticed. You lack creativity. You lack creativity because you're thinking what? You're going to outbite the dog? You're going to outbite a pit bull? You have arms. I remember when I brought up picking up the pit bull by its like hind legs or something and just like it's just chimping out, you know, just, I don't know. Sorry, I had to be a little violent there for the folks listening at home, not watching. I did some quite violent moves there. But you got to be creative, right? Look, okay, I know it's a lot of preface, but I just saw this random video of this. They're saying gay man saves his dog from coyote attack. I don't know why they say that. Okay, I'm laughing because you're going to see the dog he saves in a moment, and then maybe you're going to sort of understand why they're saying that, but I don't appreciate... I'm not just going to go along with slander. I don't know this man. He saves his dog from a coyote attack. Extra points in the chat if you know where this song's from. Look at that. Picked it up by its tail. In fact, I got better footage for you.
It's man versus coyote. And this guy isn't about to lose his tussle with the wild animal. Timothy Snipe was out in his yard in
That's the dog. That's the victim dog in question.
Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, with his pint-sized chihuahua named Roxy. Suddenly, Roxy noticed the coyote and ran right for it.
What did you think when you first saw the coyote?
I thought he was going to grab her and take her back in the woods.
Despite wearing a
Stop. You stop that right now.
bathrobe and slippers, he knew that unless he fought off the animal, Roxy was a goner. The animal fights back, biting Snipes multiple times. So he grabs the coyote by the tail.
It can't do anything. It's immobilized. Imagine if you could do that to the hind legs of a pit bull. Like, it's just going to be like, it's just going to be going like this, right? But it's not going to be able to do anything. Okay? Look, you guys are not creative and you have no confidence in yourself. You're telling me you can't fight off a pit bull?
All this time, Roxy is yapping away.
He actually jumped on me and I fought him. He actually bit me on my legs.
Watch what happens next. Snipes carries him over to a garbage bin and drops him inside like trash. But look, you can see the lid of the bin moving as the coyote tries to escape. Animal control showed up to take the coyote away. Snipe is taking no chances. From now on, Roxy will be wearing this spiky harness that will make any coyote think twice before trying to chomp down on this feisty little gal.
There you go, folks. Video evidence of men doing exactly what I predicted. Okay? Video evidence. Okay? Was that brutality the way he threw the animal down? See, that was kind of nice. Imagine what you could do to an animal. Now, I don't like that. I don't like violence. You don't need to be doing this, but imagine what you could do to a dog you have in that position. Okay? You win. You won. You won. Okay? You won. All right, let's move on here. Is this me sort of trying to say I can still kind of take the wolf? Let's not get lost in that, because that is how we die of a wolf attack. So let us move on. Okay? That man looked quite a bit larger than that coyote. But I mean, most men are bigger than any of these animals. Even like a small guy. You feel me? So, man up. You can fight that pit bull. I don't recommend it, but okay, let's move on. What else about this? Okay, I think that's it. Let's move on for real. All right. Whew, I need the fan. Hold on. Not professional. I already did it. Thank you. James ran in, moved the fan for me, which is what I should have done. That's what a professional would do. But I got up and left the chair empty. The real radio legends are rolling in their graves. Sorry, folks. Okay. But now we have life-giving air blowing on the anchor baby. So I was looking at this, and it hit me, folks. And let me be real, because I never said otherwise. But I'm looking at this video, and I'm thinking, folks, this girl's mid. And by mid, I mean very pretty. Here's what I mean by I use mid in a number of ways. I use the word mid kind of how you use it, but I also have a kind of different thing where it's like we're all like the vast majority of people are just kind of regular, kind of mid. And I'm talking about looks, right? You've ever heard this word? Mid? Oh, that girl's mid. I take that to mean pretty, like regular. Mid. It means medium. I get it. It means like not that pretty. But I'd gather, let's be real, mid means just not like strikingly beautiful, just regular. And what's regular? Regular is cute, pretty, right? Okay, fine. So mid, it goes further for me where it's like you have kind of like just regular people. And yeah, there's differences amongst them and they order themselves and what they like. But nobody in this large group of regular people gets to look at another person and say, you're so ugly, I'm so much better than you. It's like, no, you're all regular, okay? And then you have a very small group of the Excelsiites, the genetic, I don't know, freaks, the families that bred totally beautiful and maintained that way. I don't know what it is. But, you know, that's that. That's kind of my thinking. Anyways, Sydney Sweeney. We've talked about her a few times, right? Controversial ad, good genes. American Eagle, right? Oh, it's a Nazi ad. She's shooting guns in this video, and the people are like, oh my God, she's even hotter. Oh my gosh, I love her even more. But I looked at this video and I'm like, wait, hold up. I'm looking at Sydney in a different way. And not that I was saying, by the way, when we brought this up, I think we even brought this up on Punchy or something like that. I wasn't saying that she was like, absolutely, that's so beautiful. I may have said striking. But look, I never said she was like the hottest thing ever. I never said she was ugly. I never really said anything. I heard Pearl said she was mid. Did Hake say she was mid? Look at this video.
Wow. 9:21. Oh my God, girl. Was it your first time? That was really good.
You're going dog nuts. I mean,
Reading, girl.
I hear it clicked. I don't know what it hit, but I was like, this was like a farm girl.
I mean,
Reading, girl.
Which is pretty and cute, right? But don't start telling me she's some like alien Excelsiite that towers, right? That is the most beautiful in the world.
Yes.
Pearl's hating, you think, M. Medrano? Look, mid is not ugly. I'm not saying she's ugly. Sweeney. I'm just saying she's like a farm girl. She looks like a farm girl. She looks like some girls I remember growing up with, some up in Canada. She's pretty. She's super pretty. But Pearl and Hake, and I don't know if I'm slandering Hake here. I don't know if Hake called her that. Yeah, Pearl and Hake might be correct. She's a cute mid farm girl. It's time to go to the farm and go into obscurity, Miss Sweeney, and make children. But I hear she's you saw in that video, it's good shooting, Tex, okay? You don't want to be on the other side of her, I guess, when she has a firearm. So refrain from any criminal activity and possibly her ire. I don't want to say beyond that. All right, folks, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it from me. What do you think? Mid Sweeney? Pretty cute farm girl. It's just girl next door, right? Kind of a funny thing. Let's move on here because it's it. Not that important. That's it from me, folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. I want to end off with some of these super chats before we go. And I appreciate the generosity. In fact, I think I should start it off here because I believe the Hake Report. Solid dude. Made sure I did not forget. Base Nation's amazing, generous Rumble Rant, man. It says, chill, baby. That's all he wrote. But I see the generosity, Base Nation. That means a lot, man. Appreciate that. That's super generous. And thank you for supporting the Anchor Baby, man. Thank you for that. So let's see here. We got Terry. Thank you for that super chat. We got Lin Yan Chin. Reads, for your next Mexican man on the street, C-Sal will knot you a new sparkle blouse and teach you how to Latin dance to hypnotize the interview folk. Great idea, Lin Yan Chin. I think some of that. We're going to get C-Sal to knit me a new sparkle blouse, and I will, dare I say, prance? And hypnotize the folks on the street. You definitely caught the man on the street with Jesse, so thank you for that, Lin Yan Chin. Appreciate the support. That was fun doing that with Jesse. If you haven't checked it out on the Jesse Lee Peterson channel, Jesse was on Hollywood Boulevard doing the man on the street. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So thank you, Lin Yan Chin. I hope to get out there myself, maybe do a little thing with the Anchor Baby. Aries, very appreciative of that generous donation, man. Thank you. No message. Lin Yan Chin with another one says, Mark, you do know the top 10% of my kin are as civil as your own as a whole. That our critical 4% are equivalent to your top 20%. We, the civil few. Appreciate that, Lin Yan Chin. That was from Mark, describing in more detail his what he calls his kin. Lin Yan Chin, who I believe is half. Ethnically speaking. Okay, folks. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. Oh, hold on. And someone, thank you for the coffees. All right, folks, that's it from me for real. I got to go. See you tomorrow for more American Anchor, baby. Appreciate the super chats, the calls, and all the topics we did. I got to go for now. So let me say goodbye for real. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, your fine Men's History Monday. And for now, take care. See you tomorrow. Peace. And Lil Nick, too, he's got to say bye. Bye.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.